Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, Imperial Dane. And today I have for you a 1 vs 1 on Les Angovilles. Yes, indeed, the plains of Angoville is where the fighting shall be today. Most exciting, yes, isn't it? And who shall be fighting here in the fields of France? Who shall be clashing? It shall be EpsilonContador fighting for the Wehrmacht 116th Panzer Division, not the clan, just, the actual historical division. Opposing him shall be Damn Evil Vicious Mouse. Yes, indeed, it's going to be another of those games featuring that damn evil Vicious Mouse fighting for the 3rd Armoured Division. And in fact, let's get right down to it. Let's see what this shall be. Of course, again, part of a larger thing and got sent in by Damn Evil Vicious Mouse. And of course, a great big thanks to the people who encouraged him to do so. And of course, don't feel afraid to encourage other players to send in the replays to me. Don't be obnoxious or tiresome about it. I'd rather, people send them in freely and happily rather than obnoxiously and tiresomely. Anyways, barracks going up for Damn Evil Vicious Mouse. Wehrmacht quarters going up for Les EpsilonContador. A bit of further banter there again, and this is part of an even larger series within that replay pack with a lot of games between him and Contador, which again provides some interesting matches and certainly some of the longer matches. Otherwise, a lot of them actually tend to be pretty short. In particular, the ones by another player. People have been asking me to show off games of what's called Alias 5. They tend to be, in fact, incredibly short. So that's a bit of a problem there. But of course, again, if you want to see a certain player, it usually helps you actually try and then sort of ask the player perhaps yourself if you wouldn't bother sending in some games to me. And we are seeing Contador focusing heavily on the east, there's usually two approaches for a Southern Wehrmacht player. Go for here or here, really. Either spreading out too much can in some cases result in a pretty nasty situation, but no. He's going for this point. He's laying down a tank trap here. That's what usually people do in some cases because, in fact, it can block off this passage rather nicely. And, of course, a night barbed wire can't just be cut. And looks like Mr. Contador is being very aggressive. He's going for a rather disruptive strategy off the bat. Second off an MG42 right there. Rifleman advancing forwards, front was Sam, and coming immediately under fire from the MG42. Schweres machine gewehr blasts them to bits, suppresses them. Pioneers advancing, and the rifleman taking quite a bit of damage. Of course, one thing to remember, that is, besides, being suppressed and thus moving slow and being easy to target, the thing is, with suppression, it also gives them a small protection against actually being hit. So that's why, for example, an MG42 won't immediately slow them, but of course if they were to fire up or something like that right in front of it, they would be much easier targets. But now Jeep moves in, and we've certainly seen what a Jeep can do in the hands of Damn Evil Vicious Mouse, but of course there's a bike nearby, helping to disrupt that a bit, providing a bit more firepower, and of course also ensuring there's a bit of reconnaissance, meaning of course it's going to be a lot harder. For example, notice here, the fog of war is much more spread out now with the bike nearby, of course also protecting the bike from being, or the MG42 from being flanked. In fact, that's what Damn Evil Vicious Mouse tries right off the bat, but the bike and MG42 quickly move in. Pioneers as well, catching the rifleman out in the open, causing quite some losses. Jeep also tries the rifleman, getting fired upon quite by a few. MG42 gunners and the Pioneers and the bike, in fact, causing all in together quite a bit of damage up close. And of course the engineers are trying themselves now alongside the Jeep, but they're not quite managing. And Volkswagen is on the way for the 116th Panzer Division, 1 down MG42 gunners, but the engineers need to get away. Oh dear, this could be a heavy loss for Damn Evil Vicious Mouse right off the bat. Jeep also takes quite a bit of damage from the bike. The Pioneers immediately repairing the bike, and now the MG42 opens up as well on the Jeep. The Jeep just barely gets away. My goodness. Glorious troops of the Wehrmacht pushes forward through the fields of France, while another rifleman team prepares to flank. Contador a bit unsure what to do. In fact, meanwhile, Contador has been able to secure quite a bit of territory right there, although engineers are moving into a bit of harassment. Rifleman getting suppressed right out in the open. This is not looking good for them. And mines being laid down by Contador to protect this area. And there we go, engineers now coming under fire from the bike, trying to protect the fuel point. Pioneers moving in to assist the bike. Meanwhile, right here in the west, mine still laid down. Volkswagen is being hammered down by rifleman, but the MG42 able to protect this area as well. Now suppress the rifleman right there. Volkswagen is opening up, and rifleman moving down the road. The MG42, of course, will have to change target. And there we go. The trick, mind you, and let's just briefly pause for that, is to actually wait until the MG42 has fired. Otherwise, it will try to pack up and then do it. But on the other hand, if you wait until it has shot and then change the target by basically asking it to attack something else, it will just shoot them. Right, both rifleman teams are suppressed. Of course, one will reasonably quick get up. The other one now gets pinned. And we are seeing that Damn Evil Vicious Mouse has gone for grenades. Damn Evil Vicious Mouse is a very fond player, or a player who's very fond of grenades. Yes, indeed. So that's certainly something people might want to note. Heavy losses for the riflemen as the forces up. The 116th forces them back. Another MG42. Quite a few of those, and of course he is rather hoping to use them in his disruption strategy, you know, cutting off Mr. DevM from all those territories with Damn Evil Vicious Mouse, leaving him only with this, which is going to certainly be giving Mr. Contador a bit of an advantage of the bat. And our second full gunner team is on the way. Mines being laid down in the middle of the road. Jeep coming under fire. This is not looking good for the Jeep. MG42 though taking some losses from the 30 caliber. No, the MG42 in fact just tries to actually knock out the Jeep. And no, the Jeep now trying to get away from the bike. And the MG42. Wehrmacht continues to secure more territory for the fatherland. Looks like the bike might end up in trouble. Riflemen and engineers. More riflemen arriving for Damn Evil Vicious Mouse. Engineers moving in to try and see some fuel from the forces of Los Contador. And looks like things have quietened down a bit after this rather heavy start. This rather vicious start. And now the engineers are once more under fire. Bike and Volksgunners move in for the hunt. Shifting the forces of Contador towards these to protect the areas right there. Not a lot here, but Contador keeps mining. Very nice to see that. Not entirely sure what he's hoping there. In fact, by abandoning this point, of course, he's allowing Damn Evil Vicious Mouse to take it much more swiftly. And the Jeep hits a mine. Oh dear, the Jeep hits a mine. And Rifleman hit another mine, getting fired on by the Pioneers. Though the Pioneers are forced to retreat, and Volksgunners have charged the other team of Riflemen right here, coming under fire from an MG42. Bike also opening up. Grenades getting lobbed at the Volksgunners, but they do nothing. The grenade does nothing. Oh dear. And our sniper gets red, and MG42 also moving about. Riflemen pushing on, hunting down some Pioneers, but the Pioneers make it out of there before it's all lost. And the Riflemen are pushing towards through the center. They're holding here, but now they are going for the strategic point, but getting sniped immediately by the Scharfschütze. Ein Schuss, eine Tötung. Ever so lovely, that sniper, right? Of course, as long as you're the one using him and not the one he's being used on. MG42 ready. We are seeing Skirmish phase being reached by Contador, who's been really aggressive. You know, he's also been able to really punish DevM in terms of manpower. Really been bleeding him, causing quite a few losses. Riflemen, Jeeps, everything else, and of course forced Mr. Damn Evil Vicious Mouse to really get up a tree center really quickly. Otherwise, his riflemen would be bled out even more swiftly. So of course, right there, EpsilonContador is really gaining the manpower advantage, and of course also generally the infantry advantage. Plus, of course, the grenades also sort of gave Contador an idea of where he can actually go for, since again grenades do cost a bit of manpower and fuel. Engineers with flamethrowers and riflemen getting ready for a flank, but of course the forces of Contador has left the east pretty much. And more mines being laid down into enough. Contador is not salvaging the Jeep for munitions. Wait, there we go. That's good. Always try to salvage that. Riflemen charging at the Volksgunners. Volksgunners firing back. Volksgunners retreating. MG42 setting up. And opening up on the Riflemen. Forcing those away once more. Ensuring that these resources shall not be falling into the hands of the 3rd Armoured Division. And Damn Evil Vicious Mouse so far. And in fact, looks like Contador is getting really bold. He's going straight for the skirmish phase. He feels he's done so much damage to Mr. Damn Evil Vicious Mouse, and of course including the grenades, that he rather feels he could go for the skirmish phase and get some armored cars right away. No business with grenadiers and the Pack 38 or half tracks. No, he wants the Pumas or the heavy armored cars. He wants Stugs. He wants Nebelwerfers. Possibly an officer, but that's a bit rare. And you don't really see the officer a lot. He has some rather limited usage, though he can be used rather well. We've seen one game by chains. And Rifleman getting sniped by the MG42, getting rushed by Rifleman from the other flank, and the bike finally goes down. Volksgunners moving into the house. Pioneers, Volksgunners, MG42 shifting towards the Rifleman hunting in. Oh dear. And the MG42 setting up right between two mines. Oh, Contador. Are you asking for the Americans to set off the mines right with the MG42? Be very, very careful about placing your units next to mine. You know, that tends to be the place where things go kaboom. And looks like we're housing a grenade. This could be... Oh, wait, no. And the mine goes off, clearing out the MG42, leaving one MG42 in the hands of the Americans. And that was quite painful. Might in fact turn things around in the advantage of DevM. Rifle and MG42 getting out of there. Full Screen trying to clear out the rifle and all the MG42, but neither prospect succeeds. And some riflemen are still marking about, putting Contador under quite a bit of pressure while others are trying to retake what they can from the west. And the skirmish phase has been reached. And looks like Contador also lost his sniper. Quite some heavy losses right there. MG42 and the sniper. Apparently some retreat back. So that was actually quite a big turnabout for DevM. Damn Evil Vicious Mouse was able to do something damn evil and vicious. Now getting a sniper of his own. He also has an MG42 of his own and rifleman of his own, but that's nothing new there with the rifleman at least. MG42 trying to cover the full Skirmish, but not quite able to do so. And now going for the Sturm Armory, hoping for the armored cars perhaps to save him. MG42 opening up on the rifle engineer, suppressing both. Grenade getting lobbed at the MG42, but no, it catches up with the garage, blowing up that damn crowd garage, but sadly wasn't quite aiding them beyond that. It wasn't a secret tank depot or panzer command, just, you know, a garage with a truck in it, which is now ruined. Thanks for that, Uncle Sam. Sturm Armory still being constructed. The 116th Panzer Division desperately relying on that to turn the tide, having suffered quite some grievous losses. The 116th Panzer Division was composed of reserve Panzer Division and the 16th Panzer Grenadier Division as it was pulled out from the Eastern Front, and thus the two were combined to create a new Panzer Division with some decent Panzer Grenadiers, which fought the first time during Normandy. And I do believe it fought mostly on the Western Front, in fact. Rifle engaging the Volkskrieger is forced to pull away. Now the Volkskrieger is not finally moving into support. Getting some med packs, mind you. In fact, I believe med pack equipped troops are in fact a bit easier to hit. While it's the last, besides the moving slow a bit. Sniper moving in, MG42 opening up, and the American sniper sets off. Oh dear, this could be to the advantage of Contador. Because, oh dear, Contador, you revealed your sniper. Silly Contador, and it's time to go and look at DevM. Damn Evil Vicious Mouse. No doctrinal choice from either side, note by the way, and of course, a free command points. The rate of acquisition of command points actually gets slower. So there's not much point, at least in the beginning, to actually save more points. And now the armored car first arrived, Schwerer Panzer Spähwagen. Blast through the terrain. And rather heavy losses for the engineers and riflemen. Riflemen, oh dear, could be clearing out another MG42, but no. Caught up and right in front of the MG42. There's other heavy losses and an engineer team cut down. Oh dear, could a rifleman team also be lost? No, the riflemen just barely make it out of there. Just barely. That was quite fortunate for Damn Evil Vicious Mouse. Interesting enough, we're not seeing a single medic bunker or a medic station from either side, though we are seeing supply out, and now a motor pool up for Damn Evil Vicious. Armored Camera was about having to catch some more Americans with its auto cannon. And opening up on the riflemen there, cutting them down, in fact, to down right away. And Volkskrieger is getting charged by a rifleman engineer combination. Nothing to support them, no grenadiers, no further Volkskrieger. In fact, looks like Contador is pretty short on infantry. Forcing away the Volkskrieger there, and the Pioneers could also end up in problems. Another armored car's arrived, and we might be seeing, yes indeed, a Greyhound is on the way, and sadly looks like Contador does not have a real anti-tank asset except the Panzerfaust his Volkskrieger can provide. Riflemen hoping to retake the fuel out of the hands of the 116, but dual armored cars prowl in. And are forced to run away, blowing as wooden carts exploding right next to them as large shells tear through them. Now trying to secure the western points. Rather aggressive moves by Contador. That is what we like to see. But of course also aggression for damn evil vicious mouse. What I would like to see though at the same time is a bit more infantry. And now bite for Contador. But still no anti-tank assets. That could prove to be quite nasty. And a Greyhound mine right there. That's very clever, very nasty, very evil and vicious. Now catching some full screens out in the open with the M8. Full screens will need to get out where. And there we go. Panzer fausting the armored car. They retreat. And of course the armored cars make no move since they've not been upgraded to Pumas and thus do not have the 50mm gun that could actually damage the M8.
I have everything but a target.
All a bit quiet, and I do believe it might soon be time for the mid-game analysis, but let's just wait another minute. Pioneers advancing ever so slowly. With minesweepers. Oh, that's good. Good move there. Continue expecting mines, of course. Discovering their mate mine, thus rendering 50 munitions wasted. And the riflemen here mine themselves. Armor cars advance. I'm not entirely sure what they're hoping to do, of course, since they can't really damage the Greyhound. Perhaps hoping to clear out some of the troops supporting it. I suppose that could be an option. And bite coming under fire from the MG42 and the M8. And going out and fire and doom. And there we go. Sturmgeschützwehr has arrived. The Sturmgeschützabteilung of the 116th Panzer Division providing what little armor it can. The rest having been pulled in to support some other Panzer Division which was lacking in armor. Which rather meant that when the 116th did come into action during the Mortain counterattack or Operation Lüttich, it was actually a bit lacking in armor. Armor carbining up on the rifle and M8 moving in. Sturmgeschütz having moved to the west, now leaving the M8 or the armored car under fire. And the sniper reveals himself, could end up getting charged by the M8. And there we go, the sniper exposed himself. Might he make it out there alive? Just barely.
Infantry squad reporting casualties.
And a rifleman team in fact gets cut down. That was a pretty severe blow. And now it actually time for the mid-game analysis. What is the current situation currently? Damn evil vicious mouse does hold most of the map. That we do quite here. He's also been doing some grievous damage to Contador, but Contador's certainly been fighting well. And rather was able to catch him off a big guard there with the M8, but now looks like Contador is running now with the Sturmgeschütz and then with a Nebelwerfer. Perhaps not my choice of weapon right in that case. And sadly I would have possibly at least upgraded one armored car to deal with this menace. But certainly suffering some losses. He's lost jeeps, riflemen, engineers, but he certainly has gotten some snipers of his own, an MG42 which he stole, and now an anti-tank, and so let's see how this goes. But really I'd recommend Contador to get some more infantry, at least another full squad team, or at least a medic bunker, and I'd certainly also recommend a medic station for damn evil vicious mouse. And of course more mines on both sides, possibly some barbed wire or tank traps. And of course for damn evil vicious mouse to be a bit careful with that anti-tank gun. But let us return to the fight. Let us see how this evolves. Stug moving in, crashing through the walls in a most panzer-tastic manner. MG42 coming under heavy fire. Interesting enough, there's still no attempt really from Contador to upgrade even one of his armored cars with a 50mm gun. I mean, it really could help. Armored car taking through some engineers right there. And damn vicious mouse using the mobility really well of his armored car, thus being able to sort of dodge the Stug assault guns, which as you might have noticed rather don't have a turret, which of course does allow them to be sort of outmaneuvered much more swiftly, and of course again sort of necessitates you support them. Small fighting here in the west, riflemen and pioneers fighting off. There's some Volksgunners inside, and grenade getting knocked out of the Volksgunners. Will the Volksgunners get out there in time? No, not quite. And we hear the first howl of the Nebelwerfer. Blasting through here, suppressing some, doing minor damage though. Stug pushes onwards. Could be another one is on the way. I would certainly like to see that. anti-tank gun getting pretty bold in the west. In fact, moving forwards without any support. That's not what you'd call a good idea. Riflemen immediately suffering rather loss to the armored cars, trying to advance through the central road. Not quite having any luck with that, and the sniper moving about on his own, being sneaky. Looks like another Stug 4 has arrived and crashes through the wall as well, deciding he can also do that stuff. Always fun to note. Getting a bit of a telephone pole stuck in some manner, I'm not entirely sure. All a bit quiet now. In fact, things have settled down a bit. Perhaps Mr. Contador is preparing for the assault. And looks like things are getting awfully choked up a bit there. And looks like Contador has gone for terror. He's calling in an incendiary rocket attack. And there we go, blasting away. Anti-tank gun cleared out. Rest survives, but that anti-tank gun loss could prove to be nasty if Contador pushes forwards with his Stugs and armored cars, which of course involves him actually doing it. Nevertheless decides to take a break and then push forwards again. Stugs slowly advancing but not really pushing it. And looks like a tank depot is now under construction by DevM, which is mouse, meaning he has all buildings possible. A rather clumsy attempt by EpsilonContador, in fact, actually dealing with this M8, not using both to sort of try and attack it from several sides, but just moves in one, which of course the M8 quickly escapes from. Not really ideal. Nevertheless fires. What looks like to be the American base, in fact, hitting some troops as they try to make their way back. But doesn't really do any major amount of damage. A bit lazy by Contador, I suppose. Second Nebelwerfer arrives, apparently calling upon the assistance of a Nebelwerfer battery to provide some rocket assets. Volkswagen has hit a mine, still not a lot of infantry for Contador, and let's in fact go return to him. And looks like he has no interest in going for the left half. That could end up being to the advantage, of course, since that means there'll be no King Tigers, at least right away. Veterans 1 has been secured for the Sturmgeschütz. That's a good thing to see, but apparently there's no further veterans for anything else. Oh wait, there we go for armored cars. Good move. Riflemen continue to getting suppressed, and M10 number 1 has arrived.
Yeah, Puma here. Veterancy gained. Ready for orders.
Still no upgrades for the armored cars, still no Pumas, no actual Pumas. Looks like the Americans are getting ready for another assault. M10, M8, riflemen. Everything needed for such a move. Sniper leading the way, spotting targets. And M10 running into both Stugs. Artillery moving in, blasting away. But doesn't quite hit the infantry. Armored car getting sticky bombed. Stugs move away, but now they might be moving in for the prowl once more. M10 though at this stage actually just backs away. Much more swifter than the Stugs can advance due to the fact that they pulled back first before charging forwards. And just sending in one Stug without support. That's a bit of a miss move. Had he sent in the other Stug and perhaps the armored cars, he could have gone in and hunted down that M10. And now in fact there's two M10, two Wolverines. Can't help but feel that Mr. Contador made a bit of a mistake. They're now getting veterancy too though for his armored cars. M10 advances right into the lair of the Sturmgeschütz. Getting Panzer Fausted, riflemen flanking in. And one well-placed shot from the Stug kills two riflemen. M10's quite heavily damaged, but there's no real attempt by Contador to take the advantage. He could probably move in and knock them out rather swiftly, but rather seems that Mr. Contador and the 116th Panzer Division has lost its nerve, and the sniper gets caught and gunned down in a quick, brutal fashion. That was very lovely, but now the M10s are getting repaired, and so passes an opportunity for Contador and the 116th to actually damage the assets of the 3rd Armoured Division. Nevertheless was once more howling at the sky, having gotten veterans one themselves. Bombarding the American base, hoping to do a bit of damage. And now one Stug advances, but not the second one. M10 moves out, freshly repaired. The second Stug has not been prepared to support it. Getting a repair bunker up though. More Nebelwerfer fire. No further Stugs or infantry. So it looks like Contador will just leisurely be blasting away at the base of the 3rd Armoured Division, while not really pushing whatever advantage he could muster. I rather feel that could be a mistake. A bit of engagement right here in the west. Volksgrenadiers getting really bold and getting blasted by the M10s, in fact taking one loss. And a second one. That didn't go too well, in fact forcing the Volksgrenadiers away, seemingly. And now the armored cars are on the prowl, moving towards the west. Still no upgraded guns. This could prove to be a disaster. And looks like damn evil vicious mouse has smelled blood. He has scented an opportunity and is moving in his tank destroyers and his M8 against the armored cars, who are unable to defend themselves against it. Contador, you clockwinder. I mean, come on. You ought to know that would happen, but apparently not. Instead, one can sense as the Wolverines and the Greyhound approach. Riflemen taking quite some losses, in fact getting cleared out, but at what cost? Damaged engine, and the M10s have already pretty much knocked out one target. First armored car down, the second one trying to get away, but another damaged engine. Oh dear, and again, I mean, they probably wouldn't have won even with the upgraded guns, but they might have been able to at least knock out an M8, for example, or damage the M10, so they won't be able to quickly move on. And now the other one is coming into fight with 2 Stugs, taking quite a bit of damage, but will it be enough? And oh dear, the Stugs are going to get flanked. And of course, using the mobility, lack of mobility against the Sturmgeschütz, they now attack from all angles. This is how you do it. This is how you deal with Stugs. Not from the front, but by flanking them with your superior speed. And using apparently some armored doctrine ability that repairs, and one Stug is down. Sticky bombs on the other. Stug pulling away. And no Pack 38s or anything to provide any more stable firing base. Another Stug is down. Third one is also heavily damaged. Nebelwerfers are in deep trouble. And the V1 rocket was used at the base, but didn't really do any spectacular damage to the actual forces. Sticky bomb on the Stug again, having killed quite a few infantrymen beneath it, but still not enough. Goes down as well. Dual Panzerfaust on the M10s, but the Volksgrenadiers are taking vast losses, getting squished, crushed, murdered, slaughtered. And another M10 arrives. That's not good at all. 2 Sturmgeschütz on the way from the Sturm Armory, but I fear it could be too late. And interestingly enough, there's been actually no attempt again to prepare for this sort of attack. There's been no mines or tank traps or anything by Contador. I really can't help but feel that was quite the wasted opportunity. And now he's paying for it. And then the Stug moves in.
Lost a unit.
fun fact is, had he probably not been spending all those resources on, say, veterans, he could probably have gone for a Panther by now, or something else. We could probably also have helped a bit more, at least a Panzer IV. But that's just my opinion. Let's just speed up these final seconds. The 116th Panzer Division getting knocked out pretty much there. So there we go. A 1 versus 1 over, a loss for the 116th, a victory for the 3rd Armoured Division. And of course, what can we learn from this? Well, I mean, we saw some good maneuvers here, rather bold, aggressive play, good usage of mines right in the beginning, where then it sort of seemed to drop off. And he certainly did not prepare himself for the eventual attack by the Americans. And he certainly moved in those Stugs without any support. That was not very good. No medic bunkers or medic stations either would have been nice, but good usage of the M10s, really just flanking out and hitting from all the sides where the Stugs couldn't really do anything. Not really good either, you know, not upgrade those Pumas when he could have. I felt that was a wasted opportunity again. Not use good usage of mines in the later half, and not enough infantry either. Lots of wasted opportunities there, but there you go. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, why not subscribe or tell your friends, and if you didn't, well, why not send a replay of your own. This is Imperial Dancing. Cheers.